Hey, Brian.
Hey
Hi.
everybody. So, you know what's
Hey.
funny about you guys and your crew and everything? You're all AFI conservative alumni. That's congratulations on that part. So that's a great thing. And Rocky, great performance. I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, she's got to be having fun doing this. Talk about your performance on this because you don't, this is like, I'm, again, not an actor. I just appreciate great performances. When I see things like this, I'm like, she must have been having just a great time doing this.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. Yes, it was a lot of fun. It was challenging at times, but I think again, with the script and everything is I'm glad that we have humor in it because addicts do funny, just off the wall stuff, whenever they're high, stuff that just would never do. But anyway, but no, it was fun coming to set every day, trying to figure out, okay, what kind of shit is Stevie going to get in today? And then looking at the call sheet and being like, oh, this is going to be a good one. or I get to get back at this guy. Oh, I get to do this. Okay, that's fun. Oh gosh, I got to run again. Are you serious? I'm running throughout this movie. so, but yeah, no, so every day was just kind of like a new adventure, just to figure out what kind of shenanigan Stevie was going to get into and how far I could push her. So I think that's what made it fun. And Will is very lenient with that, letting me kind of push Stevie as hard as I can and encouraging for me to even push her further, which is insane.
I also just want to make sure that Rocky doesn't get too humble because plenty of like the funniest stuff she does in the movie is like improvised or shit that just fell out of her mouth because this woman, I feel like what you see with her in the film is what you get because in real life she is one of the funniest people that I know. So don't be too humble, Rocky.
Hey, well, talk about writing this because this is really well written. I love what you guys have done, and also talking about having Rachel Weise and Patty Jenkins. I just remember talking to all of them when they all first started. That makes me older now, which is really strange.
Oh man, I'm gonna break your heart a little bit because this one is Rachel Weise, who is not esteemed actress Rachel Weise. Rachel Weise is AFI Conservatory alumni, along with me. But yeah, we did get the Patty Jenkins on it for sure. But yeah, with the writing of it, well, I can even say I think Patty responded to it in the first place because uh one of my favorite movies since the first time I saw it when I was like 12 was Monster, her first film. And I've always I always just was really drawn to how that film took like a subject and a type of person that like there's nothing glamorous about them and it's like usually the opposite of what Hollywood wants to put in front of a camera and just or and what audiences want to spend time with and made such a point to empathize with them and try to unpack who they were as a human. So I think I aspire to do that in general, but then addiction is such a relevant topic that influences so much of my work just because I've dealt with so much of it in my own history and I definitely come from a family with a background in it and film like for most people for me has always been kind of my therapy and my way of processing stuff I go through but yeah, I think as like a developing young filmmaker you're more prone to make stuff that's very like angry or immature or lashing out or like didactic where it's just much easier to paint people as good guys versus bad guys and from your writer perspective know that you're the good guy and then I think the older you get you realize that we're all just complex and that's what I've become much more fascinated in trying to show is like the gray area with people and so even though addiction is such a like scary thing that has, like did plenty of damage to my life and wrecks so many people's lives. It like I think my approach was wanting to like hug your worst nightmare in a way and not let addiction be this like scary villain, but try to unpack like the humanity under it at the same time and the sort of gray area of how it all works. And Rocky just being the very giving open book that she is like totally opened up to me when I kind of approached her to saying like I wanted to do a story, an addiction story, but that wasn't a heavy burden of a movie. It could be like a fun thrill ride and it could be really funny, but still break your heart and have all these ups and downs. And I didn't even know that Rocky had such a background as a real life addict. And then she just completely opened up to me. And she was like, "Oh yeah, well, some of my craziest memories are from when I was high as shit." And I was like, "Yes, like that's that's what the balance I feel we want to show in this film."
Well, Rocky, in the opening scenes, never mind the great poster of you flipping off, whatever. I I was the reason I never did drugs. I was always the straight black guy who wasn't married, didn't have any kids, and taking care of my friends who were addicts. And I, believe it or not, you reminded me of two that I actually took to a junket to me at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills. I had to watch them, and they were actually good until they weren't. And then, so you guys can change on a dime on those things like that and just come out of no place. Talk about that, because that person who did what you were doing got me kicked off of a list.
Um, yeah, just because well, as you know, like I wanted it to be real, I wanted it to feel real of how
Oh, it was real. It was real. Let me tell you, you brought back memories.
great, that's great. So yeah, it was just kind of using my personal experience with it, but also playing off the other actors or whatever. And once you get in that zone or whatever, and especially at the beginning, whenever we're fighting and the radio hits and we're slapping each other and we're going around the trailer or whatever, and because uh Christina, who plays my cousin or whatever, she was just so good to play off with too. And you could see like she just absolutely did not like me, but she kind of I don't know, let's say in a way felt sorry for me too, but also knew that she was an addict too, trying to act like she wasn't. And so that just made me go harder. And chasing her around and trying to get the billfold and all that just to me made it so real, because it's something that I absolutely would have done had I been high, trying to get the money and get whatever I could so that I could go do whatever I needed to do. But so
And by
yeah,
what
it
you
just kind
needed to
of
do, you mean drugs.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
More
Oh,
drugs.
that and yeah, you're right. So, but yeah, so just kind of bringing that around full circle was it was a lot of fun, but it was also therapeutic too. We talked about that as well, some of the other parts or whatever. But whenever I had to go crazy and funny, those were really the fun parts, because I knew that Will would let us take it to the highest level as it was, because it is, the more higher you get, the more just the more crazy, stupid shit you do. So but yeah, so it's just kind of that.
Hey, Will, I got the terminology called stupidity fee from people who would do what Rocky's character would do. I'm like, every time you do something stupid, I'm going to charge you a stupidity fee. And I use that terminology for people in the mainstream, everything. When they do something stupid, I'll charge them a stupidity fee. But it was one of these things that came out from this. This is real, and it's getting worse. And in case you guys didn't know, Warner Brothers is probably going to go up for sale. And so I see more people starting to go into this world of taking more things going on. And this is not good. I'm immune for this because I saw things coming and I started changing everything around in '08. So I'm not going to be hit by any of this stuff. I don't have to worry about AI. Because even if they use my voice, because I'm at all the events across country and even next year around the world. But when it comes to great films like this, how long did it take you to do this? And how can we get more films like this and less AI, in your opinion?
Oh my gosh. First of all, thank you very much because that is such a huge compliment to me. But because I have everything you just said completely that existential fear, it like drives me wild because it feels like I finally managed to do something I've been dreaming of doing since I was a kid, and I'm so amazed that we even like got into AFI Fest and that we're premiering there because I felt like I had been sprinting towards the gate just to arrive at it in time for it to close. Like, because I was like, I've had this lifelong dream, and now it's like one that is totally changing, where like films aren't made the same way, and indie isn't as raw and grimy. And if it is like it, or if it someone has an idea like that, it's not getting greenlit. But yeah, I just like I hate this panic-stricken mode that I feel like the studios are in, where they're becoming less and less likely to take a risk, and they want a sure bet that's either going to be IP or a tent pole or whatever. And even so those are the only things we're greenlighting. And then if we are getting anything more indie, it's likely coming from the child of a already famous person or a nepo baby who just like got bored and wants to do film as a hobby. And I don't often trust those people to have some of the more human, raw, grimy, unfortunate background to be able to tell those stories like that can connect us more. So I wish that and I hope people will take more risks on like real ass stories like this and the real people who make them. But I saying all that, I know that I think yeah, I'd kind of learned in this industry that like if you're willing to wait around for somebody to hand you the opportunity to be that person, it's never going to happen. And it's like when you say I want to make a feature film, they're like, "Okay, well what feature film of yours can you show me that you've done to prove that you can do it so I'll let you make one?" I'm like, "No, I need the first one like so I can show you it's possible." And so we like this thing was as indie as it gets, like completely non-union. We shot it during the strikes because all of us were non-union, non-repped, non-everything. I left LA and went back to my childhood way of filmmaking, which was like with my friends in my backyard of Georgia. Like so many of the locations were like borrowed or through favors or places we lived. A lot of non-actors that were just friends in the area. Like it really was the like scrappiest form of filmmaking. The thing that makes it look so fancy is just that we made sure to throw money down on a good camera. But like there were like five people behind that camera a lot of the time.
You did what you're supposed to do, getting back to basics. I'm thinking, I'm looking at your post in the back of Robert Rodriguez. I remember interviewing him for his first film, and Quentin, going back to 1993 when he gave me his number when nobody knew who he was. These things are what people are going to have to do because, as you were saying, corporations, everything is corporate, which is why I never wanted to do the corporate world. For whatever reason, I've had great insight to seeing things and how things are changing, which is why we do so great around the world of what we're doing. And, as far as Rocky's performance, my goodness, like I said, you can't get any real, and I know fun at that. So as that viewer, I'm having a great time watching this person just have fun. I didn't think of her as a former actor. I'm like, she's just playing around, just having fun. Who knew that she knew that world? I think
Hmm.
that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I think yeah, it's like I definitely the reason I loved film growing up was, of course, for thrills and escapism, but also for empathy and like the stories in the films I saw that made me feel less alone in the world. But they usually were the ones that just felt the most rooted in like a real, very grimy, human experience. And that, yeah, it was just like the exact type of thing that I aspired to make here. But I do feel like that's what's getting a lot more difficult to get greenlit nowadays. It's like getting chokeholded out because being, if content like that isn't being Trojan horsed to you within a horror film, then there's pretty much no way it feels like to get indie like dramatic human stories out otherwise. That's why the one Trojan horse I was trying to do was like, um, well, yeah, it'll be a heavy addiction movie, but let's also throw like a dash of Spring Breakers or Jerry Springer in there, where you're gonna get the thrills of like some rednecks beating the shit out of each other sometimes. But that also is the reality of the world, so it just made sense.
And that's why this film works, because you're laughing at people that we all know, that we've come into contact at one time. Really quick, the last couple questions. Will, and followed by Rocky, what would you say to get the audience to come out and see this? Because it's a great film to see, I call it a great performance piece.
Hmm. Oh gosh. Um, Rocky, do you want me to go first or you?
Well, I mean, I think if you want to see a movie, like you said, that is a lot of fun, but is also a roller coaster of emotions. But it's like that's very real. It's a lot of fun, especially with Stevie. You'll have a lot of a lot of laughs, and she's funny. But then you'll also kind of be disgusted with her. She's making the same bad choices that she had made or whatever. But then she'll turn you around and you'll actually be rooting for her because you'll find out there's a reason why she acts like she does. And then of course at the end when she finally does reconnect with her son, that is very emotional. And so I think it holds just all the emotions where it's not just cry where you cry throughout the movie the entire time, or it's not considered a comedy where you laugh throughout the movie, but it is funny. So I think if you want to see every kind of like emotion and just a good, funny, heartfelt movie, I mean that's really about all I can say. I
Yeah,
think.
I think yeah, on the simplest level, it's like we're trying to launch careers here and we would love to be able to keep doing this. So we really just tried to break our backs to give you like a five-course meal of like, okay, well, if we manage to get one made, we better make sure that it hits all the notes and it has surprises and it is really damn entertaining so that people want us to do this again. So I think we did our very best to do that, but not to my only other thing to get people to come out, and it's not to get on a high horse, but as someone originally from the South, like below the Bible Belt, and now living in Los Angeles, like I hate what like the current era of social media and everything does to us, where everyone is in such a split mindset of people are just good or they're bad, and we just like are so eager to want to put a simple label on someone and just dismiss them as that thing. And it's like I'm a firm believer that even if someone says something totally disgusting or has an opinion you horribly disagree with, like just spending time with that person will make you that much more comfortable with them and also make you be able to see the humanity in them. And that was like what I very much wanted to do with the film was like just swim around in the gray area by being like, okay, well, let's go back to a world that I'm from, that I know a lot of Hollywood is like very willing to untouch or to not touch because they see it a very specific way. And let's like go show that humans down there are just the same as humans out here. It's just like, but it's not as, yeah, horrifically different as people like to paint it as, I think. But you got to hang out with those crazy people sometimes in order to see that they can actually be a lot of fun. And so I think Junkie is like an attempt to have fun with some crazy people.
Believe me, I've hung out with enough of them. Like I said, that's where I got stupidity fee from. And you know what? That's what kept me on the straight and narrow. Not getting married, not having kids. Believe me. All right. Thank you guys for this. And Rocky, congratulations. Because in my view, if enough people saw your performance, they would nominate you for that. But you did just a kick ass job. So congratulations on that. That performance is really, really good.
Thank
Woo!
you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And since I will be at AFI, hopefully I'll run into a couple of you, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
that'd be
yes,
great.
yes, please.
I'll be looking for you. You know, I'll be the lone black guy running around. Unfortunately, there's not enough of me around, you know.
Right. Right. But thank
Kind of
you so
sad to
much,
say.
Brian.
You're welcome. I'll see. Yeah, I'll definitely see you one of the days over there, you know.
Yeah,
For
awesome.
sure.